Ladies and gentlemen, whether you've been following chess for a long time or just a short while, there is one name from the chess history books that you absolutely must be familiar with. And that name is Mikhail Tal. Tal was the player who basically invented modern day brilliant moves. I've already made a few videos about Tal. If you haven't seen them, I named one video, The Man Who Invented Brilliant Moves, but his games can be covered by the dozens. And that's exactly what I'll be doing in this video. I'm going to show you a game that he played that I can't even begin to properly introduce. It was breathtaking, genius, fast-paced, methodical, surgical, precise. And as a bonus for clicking on this video, I'm going to give you an appetizer game, which was no less spectacular. Here we go. That's all I've got. I hope you enjoy, and if you somehow clicked on this video from the YouTube algorithm, as sometimes happens, and you do enjoy this video, I've got a whole lot more on this channel. So, may I present to you Mikhail Tal, brilliant chess legend, world champion, and fascinating individual. This was a game played in the late 1960s in Stuttgart, allegedly. I wasn't there to confirm it. And this was maybe like a simultaneous exhibition. It was one of those, random games that Tal played against chess enthusiasts around the world. I'm going to show you this game, and then an absolutely breathtaking, brilliant game against Alexander Koblenz, who was Tal's trainer. So, Tal always played e4. If you want to model your games after him, aggressive, sacrificial, e4 is the most tactical move, given that you bring out both your queen and your bishop with one go. Black plays c5. c5 is the most combative first move. You might think that it's d5. It very well could be the Scandinavian defense, because it actually does create a direct threat, but the drawback of having to bring your queen out, and then actually the Scandinavian can get a little positional. c5 is completely uncompromising, fighting for the center without committing a central pawn. White has many, many setups in the Sicilian defense, e4, c5. He played knight f3. His opponent, Sviridov, which, by the way, I love that. Just one name. We don't know what the first name is. That could be the first name. That could be a code name. I don't know. d6. And at this crossroads, we have reached an open Sicilian because you open the center. Black can either play a6 or g6 or something else. In the very next game, we are actually going to see the exact same opening. But here, Black will play a6, which a6 is like the Rolls Royce of chess openings, as I say in my first book called How to Win at Chess. I say it is the most regal chess opening. It has been played for some 70 years now. This is 2025. Maybe you're watching in 2040. But it's a very fascinating and deep Sicilian. But another great one is g6. And if you're watching this and you want some opening inspiration and you're an intermediate or an advanced player, the Dragon Sicilian, where you put your bishop on g7, you castle your king, your bishop snipes on this diagonal, you play on the open c file, the Dragon could be for you. Plus you play a cool, opening name of an opening, right? It's quite cool. So, bishop e3. The most precise move from Tal against Sviridov. Black develops as well. And now this move f3. f3 is a move, multi-purpose move. Normally you have a knight there, but the knight traveled to the middle. You wanted to play queen d2, but then the knight would go here. So you stop that. You don't want to give up your bishop. And also this is like a trampoline. g4, h4, h5. So knight c6. Tal goes queen d2. Black develops the bishop, just defending the knight. Tal castles. And he has already played 50% of the game. Like, the thing about Tal is that he was like a heavyweight fighter. Starts out slow, feeling out the process. That was his 9th move. And the 18th move for White ended the game. How is that even possible? We are still in the opening. Both guys have played completely reasonable moves. In fact, the next move is also quite reasonable. Bringing the queen out, right? You want to, opponent castle here. Of course, you want to set up the most powerful piece on that side of the board. Well, when you castle queenside, castle the long way, it's always nice to make one more extra move. And that move kind of gets your king to defend this pawn so that you can then move your knight. Now, what's funny is that this move is not going to win Tal the game anytime soon. So he has now made more than 50% of the moves of this game. And he's going to win the game in 8 moves from here. How? Like, what is Black gonna, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna explode into a million pieces? Like, what's gonna happen? He plays rook c8. There was literally nothing wrong with this move. He's bringing the rook. He's got ideas with the bishop on the diagonal. Maybe he's gonna move the knight out of the way and put it right here. And now Tal is like, well, g4. Why g4? Because these pawns are very good. They're preventing Black from any movement. And now I would like to go attack, right? I might get my pawn all the way down there. Black has not castled. It's very important. Black's king is in the middle. But Black is going to really struggle to attack without it. So at this point, Black should have continued in the center. He should have played like this or taken and then moved the bishop here to target the king. But Black did the worst thing that you can possibly do against Tal. He flinched. And he played the move h6. And just this one simple pawn push, which looks like you are anticipating Tal's attack. He just flinched. He just moved the pawn. And at this point, Tal smelled blood. He smelled blood in the water. He was like, I sensed the apprehension. Black played a6 now. a6 makes some sense. Trying to play b5. And Tal developed the bishop. White has made 13 moves. He's going to win in 5. Black plays knight e5 finally. Looking to put the knight on c4. Tal jumps into the position. The idea here looks quite straightforward. Pawn takes, pawn takes. The rook will take the rook. I take back. You move the knight to h5. And we continue the game. No. Here, Tal did something much more sinister and fascinating. After this trade and the capture on h1, he came to the board and he took the knight on f6. And I just want you to not look at the evaluation bar for a moment. He took the knight on f6 and the rook is still here, which means Black can play rook takes d1 check. Yeah. Now, you look at this position, you go, wait a minute. White is going to take this, and Black is going to take this. What is Tal doing? He's doing this, obviously. The queens see each other. Now Black is unable to play the move bishop takes f6 because the queens are seeing each other. Wait a minute. I don't get it. The queen is going to take the queen, bishop takes, and then what is... Call an ambulance. But not for me. Pawn takes g7. The queen doesn't have to be taken. The pawn takes the bishop. The position is +6. The bishop is defended by the knight, which is defended by the bishop, which is defended by the knight, which is defending queen c2, which would be checkmate in a couple moves. And this pawn is queening and nobody can stop it. Didn't I tell you the appetizer game was going to be absolutely heinous? Look at this, man. Nobody in human history played chess like this. You know, Tal could have done so many things in this game. He could have traded and, you know, retreated and put the queen away and improved the position. The way he played chess was just... I told you, that was your appetizer game. This is your main course. I promise you after this, you're gonna want dessert, but you are gonna be more than satisfied. And maybe you will get dessert in the form of more videos about Tal. In my opinion, he is the most fascinating chess player to look back on the games of. You got guys like Kasparov, and then you have other players in history who play very solid, very, very positional, like Anatoly Karpov, the way he played chess. Like very methodical, just strategic. Guys like Petrosyan. But the way these guys spilled gasoline on the board, lit a match, and just threw it is just... So, g6 is not the top choice of strong grandmasters, you know, back in the day. It was a6, and to this day, it continues to be a6. The dragon is good, but it's not as good as the knight dwarf. Now, there are many things you can play against the knight dwarf Sicilian, okay? The most aggressive of which is bishop to g5, of course. But Tal played everything. You can also play bishop e3 and f3, just like in the previous game, and then long castle. So hopefully you're learning a couple of ideas in the open Sicilian, right? But bishop g5 is the move. Black now has a couple of defenses, but e6 is by far the most solid. These pawns take away 4 squares of access for white, which is annoying. And the bishops, they come out solidly. This bishop will oftentimes go to b7. And black's spiky pawn structure makes it difficult for white to just sort of jump in and, you know, wreak havoc. So f4, again, the point of this, to support the move e5, gain some space, gain some momentum, bring some initiative forward. Black goes here, developing, preparing to castle. And Tal also prepares to castle by playing queen to f3. And he could have played queen to f3 on the last move, but doing this now with no pawn fighting in the middle would have just been weird. So he goes queen f3. Black, again, has many choices. You can kick the bishop. You can bring the knight for reinforcement. You can play queen c7. Queen c7 played. Good move. Pressure on the c-file. And Tal, of course, castled. Now, this game is not halfway from being finished, but I would like you to take a breath of fresh air. I would like you to have a sip of water, because basically from this point forward, you will be staring at this game going, what? I'm about to show you probably the most brilliant game of chess you've ever seen. And I have covered a lot of chess on this channel. So pick your favorite. The knight developed to d7. Again, black is fighting for the center, right? Black is fighting with the pawns for the middle of the board. Black is defending the knight. Black has ideas to attack the queen side. Tal played his usual favorite move, which is bishop to e2. We also saw it in the last game. Nowadays, computers are playing g4. That's the most aggressive move to try to immediately go for an attack. But Tal played bishop e2. What's the rush? Plus, I'm playing Koblenz. He's my friend. You know, he's my trainer. It was just training. Bishop e2. Black plays h6. Of course, attacking the bishop. The bishop goes to h4. You don't want to take, right? You don't want to take. We keep the, maybe we bring the bishop back. We don't know. We want to stay flexible. Now we have g4, g5 ideas. And of course, black plays the move b5. So black is ready with bishop to b7. And here, modern day computers, they like to take now. And now the thing is, this might look like some of you watching this go, wait a minute, what about the move e5? You're completely correct. Yes, that is definitely a consideration. That is what Tal played. The knight is hanging, and so is the rook. But that seems pretty stupid, because black just plays bishop to b7. So now your queen is hanging, and you're going to lose this pawn. Well, Mikhail Tal took the knight. He completely sacrificed the queen. Just gave away the queen. Black took. He took with the bishop. Now black has a hanging rook for nothing. And a hanging bishop. Right? So here, the best move for black is to lose the rook. It's to lose the rook. Modern day analysis has shown you should take, and actually, the next move that black can play is a little bit too weakening, okay? So black played in this game the move d5. And the point of d5 was that now the queen attacks this pawn. It's a very nice idea. If you take the bishop, I take this, and I win back the bishop, which is extremely important. And then I'm going to win back a pawn, and then you will simply lose. So d5 was played. What was then not expected is Tal's next move. Looks like you have a nice position. White doesn't have anything better than to take with his pawn. Well, after sacrificing his queen, Tal sacrificed his knight. Knight takes e6, kicking down the center of the black position, attacking the queen, attacking the pawn, defending against the counterattack, and threatening the second knight to bulldoze into the position. Black has only one move not to lose. You do not have an opportunity to do anything else, you have to take the knight. This move, this series of moves, are known as Tal sacrifices. Mikhail Tal famously said that there are two types of sacrifices. Correct ones, and his own. I might be paraphrasing. Could be three types, good ones, bad ones, and my own. He fits into his own category. All right. Knight takes e6. Pawn takes e6. Bishop h5 check. How can it be that two bishops attacking a king are causing so many problems in the black position that it is literally equal? Well, here black played g6. This is the best move. Giving up a pawn with a check. But the difference is that the king now can run there. That is extremely important, because after you play bishop takes g6 and king to f8 and pawn takes e7, the black king gets to g7 and there is nothing to be afraid of anymore. That is why you needed to play the move g6, so the king could run to g7. Okay, self-explanatory. g6 takes, here takes, king g7. Folks, look at this position. Black is only up 1 point of material, just one, but he has an extra queen. White has two bishops, and for the moment, I guess 2 extra pawns. He has 7 pawns to just 5. But one is under attack, and this one is not a particularly strong asset, and the bishop is just straight up hanging, by the way. But this next move is really the most incredible part of this entire combination. In chess, you can defend against the threat in multiple ways. You can see the threat and defend the piece with a pawn, by moving the piece, getting the piece out of danger. You can also do what's called danger levels, what I like to call danger levels, which is creating a threat of equal or exceeding nature. And then there is a third category, by far the most advanced category of threat recognition. I'm not even sure this has a name. We can just call this Tal style. Bishop to g3. Tactically defending the bishop on g6, because if the king were to take it, pawn to f5 would be a check and the queen would be hanging. But the thing about the move bishop g3 is, unlike lower rated players who play hope chess, if they take on g6, I play f5. No, bishop g3 is also the best move because it stops the queen from getting to that square, and f5 actually becomes a threat because without these two pawns, black is going to get absolutely obliterated in this position. So you cannot take the bishop. What do? You play knight to f6, which is a mistake. Instead, black should have maybe played b4 and attacked the knight. But knight to f6 is on the board. And Tal plays rook e1, threatening the pawn on e6, then the pawn on d5, and then f5 is coming. He leaves the bishop hanging once again. Koblenz plays b4, which proves to be a very bad mistake if white plays the move f5 here. The thing about f5, though, is that it would allow the queen to take the pawn. And I have this feeling that if two moves both look good, Mikhail Tal will always play the one that looks more strange. It's like the Joker in Batman says, whatever kills you only makes you stranger. In this position, Tal played rook takes e6, sacrificing another horse. He has now sacrificed a queen and both of her stallions. Queen on f3 is gone, knight on e6 is gone, the knight on c3 can be absolutely taken. What makes all of this possible is the fact that in all of this, Tal always keeps his king safe. He always keeps the king safe. Always. Black doesn't have a way to attack the king. He can take the pawn, he can even go here, but the king is always safe. Black takes. Now we play the move we've been wanting to play all along, pawn to f5, attacking the queen. We already know, if cb2, king b1. The king will hide behind the pawn, using it like a shield, like an umbrella pawn. Using it like an umbrella from the rain. And here on the 22nd move of the game, Koblenz went queen b7. Which, as we see, is a mistake. White can now win by either taking this pawn or pushing. Both are good. Tal decides, I'm going to push. Now white's idea is bishop to e5. And after that, white will simply be winning the game because the king is completely, totally stuck. Maybe you got to run away. Maybe that's the best move. Black goes queen d7. Now, the idea of queen d7 is really, really nasty, actually. Queen d7 is designed to take the rook. Take and win the bishop. That's a lot, but white doesn't have a lot of pieces left. So you got to defend it. You got to defend it somehow. How do you defend it? You can't defend it. If you go here, that gives black just enough time to blockade you completely. And then if you play bishop e5, well, then I'm taking, and guess what? You've lost the game. You've ran out of ammunition. So queen d7 is played. The threat is queen e6, takes king g6. What is Tal gonna do? Well, obviously, what he's going to do in every single game that he plays, he's gonna sacrifice both of those pieces. He gives up both of them. Bishop e5. Bishop e5 looks like a beginner's mistake. It looks like you brought in these pieces to attack f6, and you simply forgot that the queen could take. Pawn takes e6, you're losing the bishop. Yes, but Tal saw rook f1. The idea of rook f1 is the knight is hanging. You can't move the knight, because if you move the knight, I take the rook. For example, if you, and you can't defend it because I would take the rook like that. So let's say if you move the knight here, the idea is very simple for white to win. Bishop takes, rook f8. The pawn shields the rook, and white promotes and wins. Well, that seems pretty straightforward, right? You just need the rook to get to f8. The game is over. No. What? So it's not over. I can't take and go rook f8 anymore. Then why is it +5? That doesn't make sense. The knight is covering the promotion square. The whole idea was to go here. That's because Mikhail Tal brings his enemies to a forest where 2 + 2 is 5, and the path out is only good enough for 1. Bishop takes rook, rook takes bishop, and the entire thing that you were trying to prevent, Mikhail Tal sacrifices the rook. You cannot take the rook with the knight because I will promote the pawn. But if you take the rook with the rook, all Mikhail Tal needs to do is just have one pawn remaining. And he plays e7, king f7. He takes the knight, and he simply plays king to d1. And in this position, black resigned. He resigned because he's losing the king and pawn endgame, and white will simply walk up and take as many pawns as he wants, and he will go on to win by promoting the pawns into queens. Folks, the position after some 10 moves looked like this. First, Tal sacrificed his queen. A few moves later, he sacrificed his knight. A few moves later, he sacrificed his other knight. A few moves later, he then proceeded to give up the rook and the bishop because he realized that at the end, he would sacrifice his remaining rook. Sacrifice is a strong word. And he just needed one pawn. We will never, ever have the honor and the privilege to witness chess like this again. Ever. We see breathtaking sacrifices, incredible attacking chess, masterful positional games of all top players, squeezes by Magnus Carlsen, defensive tenacity from Hikaru Nakamura, creative and imaginative play from guys like Rapport and many, many other grandmasters in modern era. But there is only one Mikhail Tal. That's all I have for you today. Please check out some of my other Tal videos, more chess history videos incoming, and you know the drill. Get out of here.